So I hope you guys aren't sick of John Woods yet, because I followed a Twitter Spaces between John Woods and Kraken on Twitter. Now, Kraken has been someone on Twitter who's very critical of the foundation of Algorand, and I really wanted to hear what they had to say. I was hoping he would ask. I really appreciate when people ask tough questions. Unfortunately, this was not that. There weren't the questions, and he really stuck to. So John Woods at one point on June 8th had tweeted that the Algorand there were 10,000 projects being developed on AlgoKit, or nearly 10,000. And so Kraken asked him about this. I'm going to pull up this space to kind of show you what this was all about, because honestly, it was. I was like, okay, fine, this is kind of a warm up thing, and then we'll get to the real meat. That is not what happened. This will give you. We're not going to play the whole thing because you really don't want to listen to the whole thing. I'm just going to show you an example. This is kind of where things kicked off.
Cool. Well, yeah, thanks again for coming on today. My name's Chris. I go by Kraken online sometimes. I've built projects on Algorand in the past. I still think Algorand has the best technology of any blockchain, and I think it has a great community of people. And so what I wanted to discuss today is, on June 8th, you tweeted just under 10,000 projects being developed with AlgoKit since launch. And I'd really like today to discuss that tweet. Would you agree to have a discussion about that today?
Yeah, of course. I can jump straight into that. So, here's what I sorry, after you, I'll let you finish.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Feel free to say some stuff.
Yeah, cool. Okay, so, here's what I say about that. By the way, I can completely stand over that tweet, but and I'll tell you why in a sec. I'm happy to take follow-up questions, but let's get it straight. I'm the CTO at the foundation. I came in. We built developer tools with AlgoKit that have totally changed the developer experience. And there's tens of thousands of lines of code written. They cost a lot of money to build. Hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of developer hours have gone into this. And so I'm proud of what they've achieved. I'm proud of what's been achieved in terms of AlgoKit. And of course, I want to get the message out there. This is a good thing. And, I think of all the claims made by blockchains around the world, I try to hold myself, as people know, to a high intellectually honest standard. And so when I'm speaking, and I speak on podcasts all the time, I speak on shows all the time, on YouTube and live, etc. And when I do that, I try to always be intellectually honest. I can't stand protocols that make shit up and lie through their teeth, and there's a ton of them that do that. And so even just professionally, I like to be able to stand over the things I say. And so when I said just under 10,000 projects, started with AlgoKit or built with AlgoKit, we don't have detailed telemetry built into AlgoKit because we don't want to be able to snoop on what you're doing, because I think privacy is really important. But what we do have is that when you use AlgoKit, like Truffle on Ethereum, to initialize a project, right? So you type in the command line AlgoKit init, that instantiates a new project locally on your machine. And during that instantiation, we have a single call out to GitHub to a file that's part of the JavaScript, not the JavaScript, but the utility framework within AlgoKit. And this file is pulled from GitHub at the point of instantiation of a new project. And so we've seen about 9,820 or something like that instantiations of a project using AlgoKit where this file was pulled. Of course, it's possible that file could be pulled in other circumstances, but it has no relevance on its own. And so that number is, I would say, within a kind of 5 to 10% tolerance of correct.
Yeah, so that seemed like a pretty reasonable explanation. Like, okay, so generally speaking, we know this because the kit has been downloaded 10,000. The kit file has been downloaded 10,000 times, and generally there's no reason to download it unless you're starting a project. So ipso facto, there may be some fluctuation there where someone downloads it 2 or 3 times for whatever reason, but that's what he's reporting. There's under 10,000 projects going on AlgoKit. And he says later on, by the way, that these might be, some of these might be smaller ones. They're not all huge, big projects. Some are just, some might be just a little tiny itty bitty project that someone's doing for fun, right? Not all of these are going to be giant, big projects, but that's the number. He stuck with it. He revises it later on to maybe about 9,000. But yeah, apparently apparently that wasn't good enough for Kraken, and he like asked a bunch of questions. I'm just going to show you kind of what it devolved to. I'm not going to make you sit through the whole thing like I had to because it was just mind numbing. Let's try and get a
But the
sense.
reason we made this call is so that we could have an idea of how many projects were started with it.
Right, right. So when I asked Loden, your employee, what was like the methodology for actually getting this 10K number, or just under 10K.
Sure.
He was saying it's looking at those downloads from package managers, and then he specified that it was actually counting the downloads of the utils libraries, both on npm and PyPy. Does that sound accurate to you?
I thought it was the number of times the file was pulled from GitHub, but probably he's right. He's deeper into the weeds than I am.
Okay, cool. So was he was probably more involved in like writing that script to pull those metrics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So also I was curious, so what's the scope of AlgoKit utils? Is it meant for production code, testing, or both?
I don't know. I think it's meant for. I think the utils are utility functions and helpers that you would use when you're writing your smart contracts. But I don't know.
Okay. I noticed the Algorand DevRels team Teal script repository uses AlgoKit utils for.
Yeah. So it's basically it goes on like this, right? I cut it right into the middle, but this is like it just goes on and on and on. It's unbelievable. Um, so finally, and I was getting frustrated listening to this because I was kind of like, dude, can you just get to the point? And finally, John does as well. So I'm going to show you this next.
Say, it depends greatly on the project, on the engineering team, on the scope of the work. It's really, I don't think anyone's ever sat down. It's like asking how many commits does a code repo have, right? It's kind of the same question.
Yeah, totally. And I'm not trying to ask anyone to estimate like the number of times it would run, but I'm trying to.
It's kind of what you're saying, right? You're asking me to like in a courtroom style. You're asking me, Mr. Woods, would it be fair to say that a CI/CD pipeline might run hundreds, if not thousands, of times in the lifetime of a project?
Well, I guess I am kind of asking that, but I'm not trying to ask you.
Can I ask you? Can I get to something that's a bit juicier? Why do you care? Like, why would you want to make such a big deal about this? Are you not excited about the fact that we've developed developer tools that have thousands of downloads that people are using, that projects have been started? Is that not a good thing? I mean, why are you so down on this? Why don't you go ask, one of the other cryptocurrency projects, but all the wild claims they make? This is such a mute thing. It's such a nothing. I'm out there excited about the number of projects that have started with our app, with our developer tools that we've built. I'm the CTO of a company who's there less than a year, just excited to see the work that was done actually used. And my guy tells me it's been used about 9,800 times, and I tweeted, "What, in the name of God, is wrong with you, dude?
Well,
what is wrong with you? You are this kind of hyper focus on nothing. It's so annoying. You understand the people that you're talking to all day are like human beings? The people who you abuse in the foundation are human beings? I seen your tweet that you put out where you were talking about the day I joined and where Cardano was and the market cap of Algorand now and how it's moved down the ranks. I spent 10 to 12 hours a day for a year working on things to make this thing better. I've been on hundreds of podcasts. What have you done, dude?"
Well, right now I'm trying to ask you questions about a tweet, and you agreed to talk about it, but it sounds like, can we still talk about it?
Yeah, sure, but do you see, it's not about, you're focused on the wrong stuff, man.
I share his I share John's frustration. I mean, listen, I come from a journalism background. Like, I believe in asking people tough questions, but finally, it's like, dude, get to the point. Get to the point. Stop asking. I mean, I just don't get. It seems like such a minor thing to focus on when there's so many things that have real implications. The whole bike charity thing I thought was just crazy. I mean, that was I don't think the Algorand Foundation was in a place to be making these donations to other nonprofits when they need to get their stuff together. They need to get their stuff working. They need to grow the ecosystem. what John's talking about here, he's actually excited about growing the ecosystem. So, basically he says at some point, he says, look, it may have been a little overestimated. It's probably around 9,000. He clarified that, these aren't all like big major projects. It might be just someone tinkering around, starting a project in their basement that never comes to anything. Okay, fine, whatever. But what a weird thing to focus on. So I fully agree with John here. And again, that comes from somebody that says like we should be holding people to account. I'm going to argue with someone against the other position in a minute here. We'll get to that. But it's just really strange. It's really strange, and I don't understand it. I don't understand the attitude. In my opinion, John's been one of the good ones. He actually responds to you when you talk to him. He seems to be putting in good effort and good work. He came on our show. He's went on BitBoy Crypto's show. He's probably doing more for marketing than anybody at Algorand Foundation. And, so to bring him on and just grill him, I mean, it's okay to ask him. I fully get, hey, ask him, say, hey, what was up with this? Do you really have 10,000? Here's a reason why maybe it's not 10,000. Put the evidence out there. Like, and I get the Socratic method thing that he's doing here, but it's like, it's just dragging it on and on for no reason. So kudos to John for putting up with it, I guess, and staying patient for the most part. But yeah, like Pat says, what in the name of God is wrong with you? Yeah, he's like usually a pretty cool cucumber, and that's probably the first time I've ever seen him lose his cool, but I kind of can't blame him. I mean, it's fine. Again, I don't think that we shouldn't hold people to account. You're going to see that later on. We're going to talk about that because I'm going to argue against somebody who thinks you never should hold anybody to account, and we'll get to that. But yeah, very strange, very strange. Well, good on you, John, for going on the live stream. I didn't hear how it ends. I don't know if he walks off or. I stopped about 6 minutes shy because I had what I needed, I think, for the live stream. But let's move on.